both by Riverside and Van.
Welcome to the Good Girls Podcast. Today's conversation is jumping off of a little chat that we had with some of our friends the other night. It started with my A Court of Silver Flames book review. As mentioned in a previous episode, not loving this book. Now I have actually...
But it gets hot.
Okay, so I actually have gotten to the part where it gets hot, and I agree. Like, the sex scenes are... The hot parts are hot. My point was that you have to read through so much character development about characters that I don't care about, which would be different
to have that payoff
to get to the payoff of the sex scene. Yeah, and it would be different. Like, I feel like a lot of times with the romantasy stuff, it's like, oh, you're really invested in the character development. It helps you to better get into the sex scenes later when you understand the dynamic between the characters and the whole world building. But in the case of Nesta and Cassian, I was just like, blech, moving on. So my point was, if you just want some sexy bits, I guess I'd rather watch porn. And that sparked a really interesting conversation, because then some of our friends were like, I would never watch porn. It's just not, it does not do it for me.
Well, this is interesting. So just to comment quickly on how I use the two, and that is exactly it, which is that if I know for a fact that I am horny, my partner's not around, then yes, porn is the surefire, fast way to be there. For romantasy, contemporary romance, it feels more like an added benefit that I'm reading the book for enjoyment, and the scenes are likely going to make me feel sexier, think of sexy things, and just be an overall more, I don't know, sexually interested person, but like two different needs. I don't think I would be like, I'm horny, I'm gonna go open up this exact scene in this book and like get a vibrator out.
Oh, see, I definitely think that there are women doing that, and so we can jump in talking about that. But I do also just kind of want to start with a disclaimer that I think there's a lot of stuff for women that we had this whole sexual revolution. We all in the 90s were Cosmo girls, etc., and now we've moved into the modern sex positive idea of feminism, of that feminism involves generally being sex positive. And I think that sometimes for us that involves shaming people who are prudes or viewed as prudes.
Nobody should be shamed as a prude for not wanting to sign on Pornhub. That place is disturbing.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of actually the basis on which maybe we can launch into some of the conversation about when we think of porn. And I think you and I both have been on Pornhub before, and then also specifically went on to get some data for this episode. And yeah, I gotta say, when I just went on the Pornhub main page,
it's really like, unpleasant.
I'm a very sex positive person, and I was just like, dear God,
much.
What is that?
Yeah, I say like as a big titty person, so I am pro big titty, that also the number of enormously, unrealistically large boobs on like the main screen of Pornhub, if you sign on with no previous history, it's like,
yeah, exactly. There's just like so much of it that's in your face.
Yeah.
So
black and orange, not colors that any woman would have picked.
It is
not
definitely
Halloween.
all designed for the male gaze. Okay, I think you got some stats about women's consumption on Pornhub, since they have some gender differentiated data.
So as of the end of 2024, almost 4 out of 10 Pornhub consumers are women, and that is a steadily growing number. It was 1/3 a few years ago, so we're on the rise. Still,
yeah, girls.
Yes. Globally, men account for about 80% of porn consumers across all sites, but on Pornhub, it's increasing. And top category, lesbian porn, which I thought was interesting because Bellesea, that is Bellesea. That is like the woman-designed porn place. And if you sign on their website, every single picture on that main page is actually a woman, 2 women together, and it is 4 women, and about 10% of women are identify as not straight. So that would mean that you're also getting the 90% in there. Like, straight women are 100% going for...
I am 100% part of the lesbian porn for straight women clientele. And I think personally that is because the ones that involve men, I mean, we'll get into this more, obviously.
The way that they touch is nicer.
Yeah, and also then, like, it centers female pleasure in it. And when it has a man involved in it, even if it's two girls and a man, the male pleasure is at the center of it. And again, it gets into a lot of this whole just like she's gagging on his dick stuff that I'm like,
that's like not just head, but like tears are like running down the face as she gags.
Yeah, he's coming on her face, which, as previously mentioned, is not an experience that I enjoy. So I think that it's partially that. I mean, people have theorized before that the female body is also just more pleasant to look at, but I think it's because it centers female pleasure, and there's no just, like, giant dicks being shoved in, like, left and right with very little foreplay.
Like, after lesbian is threesome, is, like, one of the most popular for women, which, again, it feels like along the same lines in
exactly.
a way. Likely, two women, one man, though double penetration is also a popular search for women.
I guess at least in that case, the woman is still at the center of it. I don't know whether we're centering her pleasure or not. That would sort of depend on their directorial decisions.
It's actually our age range, 35 to 44, that is most likely to, our relative numbers are much more for double penetration.
I don't know what that says about us millennial ladies.
That's when you get interested in it. Just remember that, whoever has a smaller peeny needs to go in through the back door. So if you're bringing another person in, you gotta, check out the size.
You have to have a measuring competition first. You whip them out, you measure, and then they line up in order.
Yeah, it will feel great for the smaller person. This is another kind of fun stat that I had to share, which is that 65 plus, so the 65 plus women category, are relatively more interested in hand job videos, which I was fascinated by. Who looks up a hand job video as...
I'm this is genuine curiosity. I'm just throwing out a theory here, but do you think it's because they don't know about all the different, because I'm looking ahead here at the map that you have helpfully pulled of the top relative searches by women. I'm just going to say that I don't know that the 65-year-old plus women in my life know a lot of these words. So I think that they just don't know to search for My Little Pony sex.
So you think that they did not know to look for anime porn? Is that your suspicion?
Well, I would say in the case of anime porn, they would also probably not, that would just not be your thing.
There's also a daddy. Daddy is just a common search in the state that's next to Illinois. Apparently my U.S. geography is off.
That's Indiana.
That's Indiana, and Indiana likes their daddies.
I just like the ones where the biggest search in the state, in the state of Pennsylvania, the top relative search term is Philly. What is distinctive about the, terroir of Philly that just, makes it great porn? You're
an Eagles fan.
You're as a dedicated Philadelphia resident and Eagles fan, I only watched Philly kink.
It's Nevada is just Las Vegas.
Which is also the case for Maryland and Baltimore, and I gotta say that's gotta be some gritty porn.
Ebony lesbians is also a big thing in Maryland.
Oh, that's Delaware.
Never mind.
No, that's DC. Sorry. So Maryland is sandwiched between two ebony lesbian searchers, and then here in Maryland we're just looking for Baltimore porn, and there's Detroit in Michigan. I don't know. I'm confused. I want to know more of the details of the locale-specific porn.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful, and if anybody wants to look this up, it's Pornhub Insights about women use, and they have really, whoever was in charge at Pornhub's marketing to make this report, and they were having a good time.
I'm submitting this to the Terrible Maps Instagram feed. I also want to know more about, I'm picturing the My Little Pony searchers that dominate in Idaho are all the people on the weird Mormon compounds in the northern part of Idaho. Yeah. And they are bumping up against the hentai people in Washington State, living side by side with the glory hole porn searchers in Oregon.
Yes. So Pornhub is something, it could be considered a gateway into porn. I think that if you are a woman who's going to look up porn, the first thing that you're probably going to do for a lot of us is go to the site that you hear about the most. Mm-hmm. And you will get bombarded by just so many videos that are not designed, their little thumbnail clip was not chosen based off of the woman gaze, even though we are 40% of the users are going to assume when you sign on that you're a male. So it's
you're a woman shopping in a store for men is what it feels like. And so it's like, you can come in there and shop if you want, but like, we're not going to rearrange the store for you.
Yeah, you're going to need to like specifically look in the categories and sign on and have your account if you want to have a little bit of a prettier one there for you.
Yeah, and some examples of this. So I just logged into Pornhub today to pull some examples of what we're talking about.
Nothing like a Monday morning Pornhub search.
I know. Well, the funny thing is, when I was setting up the privacy settings on my kid's iPad, somehow I have eliminated the ability to incognito mode or do sites that are marked for over 18. So I had to just go take Mr. SJ's phone.
No matter what laptop I'm using, I have like, even if I'm like using one that absolutely has no affiliation with work, anything, I'm like, must be in incognito
And I know that incognito mode doesn't even do that much other than like not put it in your browser history. But I think that it hopefully does at least reduce the amount of like my ads, my search specific ads that show up in my websites later will be less like... You don't get a
penis enlarger pill.
Penis enlargement. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I was just like, oh, hey, can I borrow your phone? Which he's very accepting of my research needs, because he's like, what do you need it for? And I'm like, I gotta just gotta look at some porn. So originally I actually was logging in because my point was just going to be that even the decisions like the lighting and the clothes and just like the whole aesthetic of it is really what I find off-putting in male-created porn. But I gotta say, I logged in. It was even worse than I remembered. So some of the headlines, cock-craving slut rides until her pussy is filled with cum. Lesbian stepmother fucks her busy stepdaughter. And I do have to say, too, you can tell also that this is lesbian made primarily for the male gaze based on how femme all the lesbians are. And this was pointed out to me that, like, also the Hallmark Christmas movies, that they're starting to make woman ones, that they're still incredibly femme. There's never any butch lesbians. And that's how you can tell that it is still made for a straight audience. A really thick dick to break the pussy of a slut. Thinking about breeding is making me hot. That one's from Mom Lover. And Isabel craves a huge cream pie. Subtitle. Then there were two about fucking
breeding doesn't make you hot.
Yeah. I was like,
breeding.
That one's definitely made for men. And sometime if I have more time, I will just go check out Mom Lover as a content creator, because I feel like that was just a particularly non-woman friendly.
Breeding kinks are things.
Is it? I bet that. Okay, now I want to know, was breeding a search kink for any particular state?
No woman did I see breeding kinks. I'm pretty sure like a very male specific breeding kink.
Maybe, although I was searching for holiday smut, and there was definitely one about Santa bought her sister as a slave to make her into a breeder because Santa needed an heir.
Oh my.
So, and I just have to say, that was obviously written by a woman for women. So, okay,
Santa,
never say never.
A daddy.
Santa was a real daddy. I know something about his tree trunk thighs that she wanted to be crushed between them. So,
we've always, everybody's had their little fantasy that they've wanted to blow Santa before.
Well, wait till I give you this bouquet and you can finally live out that fantasy. The one that I specially picked for you, though, Kay, was the holiday Satan smut. Because of your Catholic schoolgirl.
Yes. They have like extra things that they do during sex in every single book I've ever read that has like a Satan or demon thing.
You'll have to compare it to your previous experience with demon sexy literature. So I felt like the biggest example that I found of this just really being created for the male gaze was that on my initial scroll through maybe the first 18 videos, were two about fucking your boss, but it was a man fucking his female boss. And so you're like, oh, maybe this is like empowerment, like the boss is a woman. Year of our Lord 2025. It was the least empowering. So the one that I clicked on was dealing with the annoying bitch that is my boss. She looked to be about 20, and so
I'm sure it's more about like demeaning a person who's in a power situation.
It totally was. And I also just have to say that she's gonna find it hard to move up in the corporate world because she looked like she got her outfit from the Wet Seal. This was a Spanish video, so maybe she's just European. But yeah, it was total like domination kind of stuff of like she just immediately like kneels down in front of him. He just like shoves his dick in her mouth. That goes on for several scenes of different angles of that happening, until he's, like, ass fucking her with his fingers in her mouth. And then the cum shot to her face was truly demoralizing because, like, she just didn't even look like she was able to pretend that she was liking it. She was just kind of, like, blinking and, like, and she had, like, cute little glasses on, and they got all messy and
she
stuff.
She had the glasses to protect her eyes.
Yeah, I know. It can really burn your eyes. So, anyway, I was just like, after 5 minutes of perusing the headlines on Pornhub, I totally get why, and that being, like, one of the biggest sites, and like, that being the sort of thing that comes up if you are just like, okay, like, maybe I'll try porn, let's see what it's all about, you're gonna be like, this is not for me, and so I must not like porn.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that the videos that I do watch, I would imagine are at least somewhat catered towards men, but we probably fast forward to different parts. And on Pornhub, they have this feature where you can see the most viewed part of a video. Mm-hmm. So you can see that people fast forward and probably watch the cum shots and stuff like that. So there's, like, this series of videos, Tushy. And the funny thing is that I'm not into watching anal, but for some reason, this series of videos has, like, the best, hottest foreplay. Like, they always have some type of scenario. It's like a boss secretary, or it's, my boyfriend messed up and I'm here to, like, help pay his debt to you. Mm-hmm. So, like, the foreplay is really, really good. So I don't even get into the part that makes it tushy. Mm-hmm. So we're probably watching it differently, me and their average viewer.
That's true.
They also are more likely to have hot European guys.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I think for me there is a lot of the pieces are not even the choices about what types of sex they're engaging in, because I do think if you don't just click on the first thing on the page, on standard porn websites there are definitely videos where I'm like, okay, I can get into generally what they're doing. They're a little bit more creative, and even so, just the whole look of them, I feel like I could be 10 times more into porn, and I do notice a difference on the female created sites. The lighting is so fucking terrible. I'm just so distracted by the fact.
She has good lighting.
Yeah, I have watched some of them. But yeah, it's just like they just, like, are obviously in some, like, very generic looking Airbnb, and they have floodlights shining
more
on them.
wooden furniture than average.
Yeah, and there's terrible design decisions, and when they attempt to have some dialogue, it's very uncomfortable. But just for me, the lighting alone can catapult a video from amateurish into enjoyable, and that unfortunately I think is my problem with some of the ones that might be female generated but they're user created contributions, is that it's just so distracting sometimes. I'm saying this as people who have a podcast that frequently has sound issues, but yeah, I don't know. It's distracting for me.
We understand poor production issues. We're more sympathetic than most to it. Okay. So the ads are a big part of what makes it, like, turn off as well, because the ads are very, very in your face, and they're so tailored for men and odd sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, I can be your virtual assistant sex buddy for only $200 a month. And it's like this anime person's coming at you. And it can make it that it's, a little, like, alienating for you as a woman, even when there is an alien.
It also just contributes to my theory that the men are not okay based on the general advertisements that are being aimed at the typical porn consumer.
I think that a
lot of them have ineffective dicks based on the amount of things that are for increasing the efficacy of your dick.
They need some virtual help.
Yeah.
Something that I haven't seen as much recently, though, again, maybe I'm just not digging around as much as I used to, but when I first started watching porn, I was like, wow, there's a lot of girls with braces. Like, there's a lot of porn women who have braces. And then I mentioned that to my partner, and they're like, oh, they're fake braces that adult women put on to make themselves look younger, because the men who watch it want to feel like they're, like, really young, which I thought was so disturbing. I don't know. Imagine like the reverse of that. Like, imagine us wanting to watch a video more of the guy.
We're like, paint some acne onto his face so that he just looks like Make his voice crack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Especially just in, again, like, we're just in this whole era with people finally talking about a lot of the stuff that was in the Epstein files, and just this whole fetishization of the Lolita kind of thing. And it's just very ick for me.
Yeah.
Megyn Kelly being like, oh, actually, he just liked them to be, like, barely legal 16-year-olds.
Yeah,
and you're
it really
like,
wasn't that
Megyn
weird.
fucking Kelly,
Yeah.
16
You
is
know
not barely
better than
legal. That's the
that.
whole point.
Yeah, 16 is not legal. Like, yeah, a 16-year-old is different than an 8-year-old, but we're not talking about that in regards to whether or not it's okay for a 40-year-old man to have sex with him.
Yeah, this is just a conversation that you shouldn't find yourself having, Megyn.
Male fantasies with ethical red flags. Well, one of them is definitely the braces thing, but like the teen, the stepdaughter, like that's all there, and you see it a lot. Gangbang is actually more likely to be looked up by women than men.
Huh.
Yeah. We're the problematic ones there.
Well, and I guess it depends what you do
We're
after.
not problematic, but...
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what I mean. It depends what you do afterwards with it. Because we've talked a lot before about how, men will say, oh, women, like, you say that you want equality in relationships, and yet you're, like, Googling gangbang porn. And our response to that, and a lot of women will say, like, oh, this is just
it's
this
a fantasy
way to explore taboos, to live out fantasy in a way that we don't actually, like, want to go out and get gangbanged. I guess it just sort of depends what you're doing afterwards with it, because I do think that, on the other hand, I hear more with some of the violent, non-consensual kind of stuff in sex that for especially young men watching it without a lot of contextualizing education about it, that it is shaping their idea of sex.
Yes. I will not have my idea of sex shaped by a gangbang. I also can say that it's just not one of the things I've personally have looked up. I've heard that, like, BDSM is on the rise as things that women look up recently, which I would imagine is at least, like, in part because of different books like 50 Shades of Grey and stuff that kind of romanticized that. But again, I don't think that any of us are expecting, like, we're going to find some great male lover who also has, like, a room of, like, sex stuff.
Yeah, I think if that happened to me in real life, especially if I wasn't seeking that out, yeah, I would hard pass. I think this is why you start out having dates in very public locations.
Yeah. No red room. It
doesn't seem like it's happening as much for women to have this seeping in that, oh, they're listening to, watching, reading violent stuff, and then they're going out and gangbanging people in real life. There's a lot of research to show that it affects women in other kinds of ways. I think just basically the whole centering on the male gaze does teach women, if you're experiencing porn without contextualizing education, that this idea that they are these passive objects, that they're recipients of male desire, they're not the initiators, and their pleasure is kind of not at the center of things. So that's helping to further those kinds of cultural myths.
Just to put out there, and I think that, like, it's kind of funny, because to me, who has, a praise kink, like think it's something of a turn on to be told, like, what to do and, like, how somebody likes it. I have to forcibly tell my partner, like, this is what you're doing, and you're doing it for my pleasure. During sex, like, I know you are not necessarily comfortable with being like, hey, I want in this position, or I want this, but, like, can you please do that because it's gonna make me have a good time? So he's almost my passive object. He's my passive object telling me to be a passive object.
You're like, okay, I'm going to set the scene. Here's your script. Yes. You just read these lines.
It's like an Inception. Yeah. Like if you just watch the scene, you think that I'm the passive object, but actually it's him being used.
Yeah, you're like, I'm also the director of this.
Yes. Don't worry, I directed the scene.
I think that's true for a lot of things, because there was comments about how it's expected that women get ideas that they're expected to mimic how women behave in porn. Taking the cum shot to the face, for example. Being open to anal, which obviously, like, some people enjoy it and some people don't, but the idea that that's just sort of the norm, and that if you are somebody who's sexually adventurous, that you have to enjoy whatever placement the guy's dick is in.
So I saw something really funny about anal. It was from a male perspective. So receiving a blowjob is like riding a Maserati or a Ferrari. It can be really, really wonderful in the hands of the right driver. having sex is a luxury sedan. Like, it's going to be comfortable. It has all the features that you need. It's going to be a really, really nice time. Doing anal is like driving a Jeep with the top off or something. Like, it's kind of fun for like the basics and for like a once every 3 to 4 months ride, but you don't necessarily want the Jeep Wrangler with the top off to be your everyday car.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. And I read some statistics somewhere about the number of couples who had anal sex and several other kinds of things that are considered less vanilla. And those numbers have gone up a lot in line with the amount of porn watching going up. And so it's kind of difficult to just look at those numbers and say anything meaningful about it, because if it is just that people are more sexually open to adventure, exploring things, and they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought about having sex in that position. That looks fun. We're mutually interested in trying it, is different and maybe hard to sort out, since it will really vary by person of like, what is, oh, I'm not really that into this thing, but I feel obligated. And my male partner is like, well, of course you have to do this, because every woman who is a good sexual partner is open to me trying out my dick in different spots. Similarly, I read a statistic on, and I want to say this was something like Cosmo, even if it wasn't Cosmo, on women and their pubic hair. Obviously, if you've seen 70s porn or anything with nude women, 70s or earlier, full bush. And then, there have been various trends since then.
Bald.
Now there are hair trends, first of all, that can come and go in terms of different shapes and stuff like that, and going full Brazilian. But yeah, I think just the huge rise in that versus before.
The bleached booty.
Yeah. So it's like, on one hand, I guess it's nice that we feel comfortable talking about it, that there are options. I think anything with, women changing their bodies, there's questions about, are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your male partner? Are you doing it because of a societal expectation that you're supposed to look a certain way? It's kind of hard to sort those all out and say that there's one reason for it. But porn is definitely a huge contributor in that, in terms of like, you have a lot of visuals in front of you. In terms of before that, I think that you wouldn't really have a lot of direct knowledge of what women were doing with their pubic hair.
An easy way to know whether you do it for other people or for your actual partner is like during the winter when you aren't going to the pool, what's your situation? And then like during the summer when you are going to the pool, what's your situation? Because personally, I've already considered shaving my like knees. Like, nobody's gonna see them. I'm in pants for a while. My partner can deal. It's just blonde fuzz.
Yeah, this is a key difference between you and me also, Kay, is that if you let your hair grow back in, it's blonde fuzz, and if I do, it's a whole different situation.
It's like things that are up to us and that we do for a lot of different reasons than just our partner. But yes, when you see porn, almost across the board. Actually, I watched one recently where the porn woman had hair that probably had all been shaved like a day ago or like earlier in the morning, and I was
she had a 5 o'clock shadow.
I was like, this is like the worst possible situation for everybody involved. I'd rather
and, like friction against the 5 o'clock shadow.
Like, yeah, when he was like fingering her, I was like, oh my gosh, make it stop. Like, it's so raspy.
I also think if you're making your living with your genital area on camera, I would spring for a waxing or laser hair removal or something along those lines, so that you're not just dealing with shaving. And stubble also is a big thing for me.
A woman director would have never let that fly. They would have been like, we're gonna take a break.
I would just be uncomfortable on her behalf and be like, here is a few bucks to just like go to a qualified waxer.
Yeah. Get yourself feeling good.
So now that we've discussed what we don't like about porn that is clearly made by men for men, let's talk a little bit about the growing industry of porn that is made by women for women, or non-binary. Yeah, exactly. Things that are not just being rammed with a dick.
Yeah, and they're focused on things like fair pay, which is a way to make sure that like consent is really there for women. Diversity, real chemistry, and like a higher production quality. Again, we say as people with poor production quality, but we could still ask for it in our porn.
But at least we don't have videos, so you can't see how good our lighting is, which I will tell you, it is really good.
Great lighting.
I liked on the diversity piece, somebody that I read pointed out that diversity also means having that in a non-fetish kind of way, because it seems like a lot of times when I find it, or maybe that's just the search terms on regular kinds of websites, it's like if there is any diversity, it is just like this very fetishy
BBC,
kind of like
instead of it just being like, oh, that's a hot male actor and that's why I'm interested. So Bellesea, again, makes me laugh because you sign on and it's for women and it's all like really beautiful women couples, women by themselves, and like really, really excellent lingerie that looks great. When there are guys, they're attractive in ways that are attractive to women, not macho in the way that, men are looking for. Natural bodies and plot-driven scenes. Obviously, I'm all about the plot. If you were to watch like the history of like when Kay watches porn, it's like all storyline.
There has to be
first
some
3
kind
minutes
of
of foreplay
plot.
done.
Right? Like, I mean, yeah, and it doesn't take too long to set something up and try to have just like some attempt at, again, like why are these characters here? Makes me think of theater camp, you'd be on stage and you're delivering lines and the director's always like, what's your motivation? I'm like, why are they here? Why are they motivated to be like licking whipped cream off of each other? I need to know.
Make Love Not Porn is such a sweet website. It's all mostly like real couples who are submitting their videos, and you can tell like from the minute that you sign on and you look at like the videos and like their faces and everything that there's like just genuine liking towards the couple. I think it's interesting they both found each other and they're both fine with like, posting their videos. But,
I do appreciate that. I felt like I watched that one and I was just distracted again. There's something to be said for having professional third-party camera people and lighting and things, and not just setting up your iPhone on a tripod in front of your bed and having one angle, or a hot tub or wherever you are.
We can, again, speak firsthand that sound a lot trickier than you think sound is going to be. So
True.
There is value in professional setup and in making sure that people get paid and all that.
I have a list of other ones. We can drop it into our show notes for other ones that people can check out. What's your experience been? Do you have any things that you didn't enjoy as much about watching the women creating for women, more inclusive kind of porn?
This is going to sound like I'm trying to like have my cake and eat it too. I thought that even though I like the storylines and I want the storylines to be there, some of them are just like so much storyline while like you're still not necessarily watching the best actors and actresses out there. So it's like, I don't know, we're 10 minutes in. Can we get to the sex now? And then
I've had some experience with ones like that they tried to like make it into a mini art film kind of thing, and it's like, okay, maybe
there's
maybe
like beautiful piano playing in the background for the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, well, like I'm feeling relaxed, but I'm like almost not even feeling horny anymore. I don't know.
yeah, exactly. My experience also on some of the ones that I watched when I was trying to find some female created porn that I liked, I would say similar to you, that sometimes they got a little too into the story and I'm like, okay, like get to the sex. This is not why we're here. And also, and maybe this is just me in that I need to admit that at my core, I'm like kind of a vanilla person and I'm pretty straight, but like some of it that was a little bit more like, oh, we're going to be like creative art house kind of stuff. I feel like for me personally, I'm glad that it's out there, but I was like, I'm maybe not the target audience. Similar as I'm not the target audience for like bondage, hentai, like whatever kind of stuff at some of the various categories that there are. I also felt like some of the things I'm like,
yeah, it's a little too much. Well, that's why like in like the first page of Pornhub, it's just like, I'm like relatively like not vanilla for my own like, neighbor and culture or like society. But I obviously am very, very vanilla compared to some people.
From the overall pool of the full range of what's out there for porn consumers.
Yeah, like I am in a straight married relationship, therefore.
And that is something I will say for Pornhub, is it is definitely just the like Amazon.com of porn, in that you have like all the different providers in there. Yes. And that you have all the stuff, like you have things from like legitimate providers mixed in with like the cheap Temu kind of knockoff stuff. And so you have to really have specific search terms to go in there. But the thing is that you can, and it's always like, oh, here's like a teaser, here's clips of it, and we want you to sign on. And I want people to pay for porn because, again, I think that helps put your money where your mouth is in terms of making sure that people are fairly compensated.
Or just, buy that male penis enlarger on the side, and that will support them too as an ad supported by.
Exactly. And who doesn't need more male penis enlargers around?
That's why I have 5 female virtual sex agents now. I just want to support the producer.
Just for gender equality, because if men can have them, I can have them too.
Just all my robots.
No, totally. But I was going to say what I do enjoy about it is that you can watch the clips for free, and so then if I was I really love the porn of mom love, then I can go subscribe there.
I have a breeding kink.
And a lot of exactly, I can go to my breeding kink specific providers. My experience with a lot of these ones, and I understand why, especially because they're smaller shops, and I think it's a lot more complicated to try to release a little bit while still getting people to pay for the whole thing. But a lot of them were just behind a paywall. And so I had to decide whether to spend $20 on a month of this, and only to find that I'm oh, okay, this is not really my flavor. I felt like that kind of on my quest that I was on at one point in my life to try to find an enjoyable website of female created content that was equitably paying its creators. It became kind of a difficult thing because I was creating all these accounts, watching some stuff, being that's not for me, cancel it, going into my email box because inevitably they sign you up for emails, and then I have to unsubscribe from all their emails every time and things like that, and it just became a lot. And I'm I don't like porn that much, and that kind of takes us back to where a lot of women end up, which is that we end up with the erotic fiction.
Reading books and being able to envision the people is nice. And I feel like I misspoke earlier about that because to me, I think it's a timing thing. I can read a book whenever, and I normally read books outside of work hours when my partner is available. So I guess I don't really have to think about whether or not during a book scene I then masturbate, because there's normally happening at a time when either I can't because I'm at a hockey practice or gymnastics practice or something, and so it's not going to be a time to masturbate, or it's a time when I have my partner and I'm just gonna give a few pokes.
Wake up.
Yeah, whereas porn, I think, is something that it's more likely that I'm doing at some time where my partner's not around.
You're specifically seeking out because you need something to get you in the mood.
Yes.
Yeah. So why else would you say that the reasons are? So obviously with erotic fiction, women are by and large the primary consumers of it. And then porn, more mixed, but historically male dominated, and still kind of seems like it's that way. Thoughts?
I think that the more that we have control over the picture of what's happening, the hotter it is. I would not want to watch 2 male actors double penetrate a woman. That is something I have very limited interest in watching. It's very unlikely that would be done in a way that would be sexy to me. But in that weird book that was traumatic, and I really do not recommend reading it, Feathers So Vicious, when there was a scene where they both entered in, they did it so carefully and thoughtfully to the woman, and I was okay, this is kind of hot.
I'm imagining the details that are doing it for me, and then it's just kind of fuzzy on the parts. I'm not imagining too many specific details of the veins in the scrotum and things like that. But when you're watching porn, that is all in your face, and the veins in the scrotum are not doing it for me. But nonetheless, I am forced to stare at them.
And they were able to explain from the woman's perspective how it's feeling while this is happening, and how it feels so good and how she's turned on, and and the reverse of that, when you're watching it on video and they're trying to show that it feels good for a woman by zooming in on a person's face who's yeah, that's not
she just
sexy.
Looks uncomfortable and a little bit glazed over usually.
Yeah,
I don't know, and maybe she's having thoughts in her head, and they're always making the noises that they're ugh, yeah.
It's I don't,
and
please.
I'm stop with the baby talk. This is so not my thing. And we've discussed
that is literally their exact tone.
I know, I'm really good at it. I could be a porn voiceover person. Just another career option for me. But we discussed this on the last episode, specifically around Twilight, and that there was stuff that I felt you could have read in the book and imagined it in whatever way was okay for you, but then when they just tried to very directly portray it on screen, it just looked so silly, and we were all of us saying, this is not the way that I was visualizing it, and like Robert Pattinson's not the Edward that I was visualizing, so you're forced to like whatever one visual idea the film production people have. With the Court of Silver Flames one, I think our friend and I, and the two of us were in a text chat about some of the things for that, of like the sex scenes being hot in the book, but it will be very hard to ever do the like movie TV adaptation.
Well, he has wings, yeah. So just from
the
the
wings
get-go,
to have those not be a cheesy Batman thing. I think for UK specifically, you were saying that the man bun and the frequent references to Cassian's flowing hair that he pulls back in a bun when he needs to do work.
In my head, I just had to cut that hair. I had to give him a trim. Yeah, I read one that was like, and the guy had like earrings on both sides, and I was like, not my thing. Just gonna go ahead and erase those earrings from the description.
Yep. Earlier in that series, we discussed Tamlin, and the first book, they definitely
the mask
fuck while he's still wearing his little party mask. And I was giggling thinking about it while I was reading that scene. It did seem unnecessary, but absolutely, if I was gonna try to be getting hyped up while I was reading that scene, the mask would be deleted.
Yeah.
Another theory that a lot of people put forth, and I would want to kind of challenge, is this idea that men are very visual creatures and women aren't. And that feeds into the whole idea also that men are just innately more sexual. And so therefore, like, pretty much anything can be a sexual stimulus for men. And it's just like, oh, just like they think about sex 6 times a minute or whatever, and just like everything. To me, that really feeds into the whole idea then that like women are mostly like non-sexual, passive recipients of male desire. And your job is also to kind of like hold the male desire at bay and like try not to be too sexy, because they would be able to unable to control themselves.
Our job to hold the male sex desire at bay,
unless we want to be huge sluts.
That would make my partner laugh, as like I'm the more frequent initiator in our relationship.
Yeah, I think it really, as we've said before, it really does the horny girls a disservice. And our queen Emily Nagosi does say, when I hear these generalized descriptions about sexuality, I have noticed they always position men as more inherently sexual than women, and women as men's sexuality light. And so I think that like men are visual creatures, everything around them stimulates them, women don't. And it's just because our sexuality is the same as men's, but less. And so it's a much newer field studying in women's sexuality and how it can just vary a lot from woman to woman. But it's also not just necessarily like, oh, we like the same things men like, but we're just not as turned on by them. And that's something that I feel like I've been learning about lately. There's a study on the subject, which I feel like is going to be a whole other episode, because Frankenbach et al. Did a meta-analysis on sex drive and gender differences, and tried to first attempt to make a definition of like what it means to have a high sex drive. And I'm so fascinated to just spend a whole episode digging into that, because partially from what I've read before, it seems like the problem that you're going to run into if you come up with one definition of what is a sex drive, and this is a high one and this is a low one, is that is just going to be such a like one axis scale that leaves no room for kind of all of the diversity of human sexuality and how that's expressed.
I think that the book sales tell you that women are sexual. They're just sexual in different ways than men. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we love this shit.
Well, and the final thing I was going to say, too, somebody pointed out, I was looking for critiques of this research meta-analysis that we'll get into, but another one is just how socially acceptable it is for women to express any kind of sexual desire that they have, and they have to be careful because, like, that just the whole idea of kind of how men, it's like, oh, like, look at this guy, like, going out and getting some, being, you know, this stud. And for women, it's like you have to be very careful not to be seen as a slut. Okay, to wrap us up, we've discussed a lot about porn that seems to be for men, porn that's more for women, or people not just like hetero cis men, non-binary. If you are somebody who has previously been like, yeah, porn just seems like a turnoff, not for me, from your personal perspective, what are your kind of some places you could start?
Whew, okay. I honestly would say that a lot of other women might like the beginning of Tushy videos. I'm not trying to say, like, you're definitely going to like watching anal. I never even get to the penetration part. Like, the foreplay in those videos is just really, really hot. Bellesea, I would sign on because it would just give you an idea of what videos are there. It's very pretty, mild looking. And so if you get overwhelmed on Pornhub and don't even want to type in to search for something, then I would just go straight to Bellesea. That's where I think I would go. Because Bellesea's still, like, professional looking. There's other nice ones, but you do get a little, like, unprofessional, amateurish.
Nice. Okay.
So, to tie up things from other episodes.
I forgot to mention on a previous episode, one of my most important foundational sources of early romance things, and that was historical romance kind of stuff. But I do feel like we deserve a shout out to, and we've mentioned on previous episodes, Pride and Prejudice, the works of Jane Austen, specifically Mr. Darcy, specifically as played by Colin Firth.
Did we totally skip over?
We forgot about the whole historical thing because I think we were more thinking about like the fantasy angle, which was probably it for most. We didn't
leave you out, Mr. Darcy.
We didn't.
Yeah.
But I feel like especially because we had like on VHS the Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth in it. That was an important one of just kind of like, again, original Shadow Daddy.
Yes, you're right.
Complex.
We will put you right back on there, Mr. Darcy, for the last episode. And then just something that I wanted to share is that I read the book Leave Me Behind because I saw it as an internet recommendation. Normally, internet does not steer me as weirdly as this one did. It is a book about a private special ops part of the army, totally secret, like the deadliest forces, and the man and the woman there, fall in love with each other. Oh my gosh. She gets cut and he takes the blood and uses it to jack off privately behind a tree. And then later on, in like their first like kind of sex scene when they both know each other's identities, he has her spit on his dick to help like clean up the blood. And then they have sex with her blood. Oh my gosh. It's like I have a thing about like blood is just dirty. It's very dirty. It's how diseases pass. And then they have sex with it.
All of those who work in the medical community are just like horrified by this blatant.
Yes.
I feel like Dr. K cannot
possibly
recommend doing any of this.
Much. And then like she has a sexual scene with his twin brother after she just gave head with him. And so you'd think that would go on to be something, like, significant in the plot. But, like, no. It was just one random scene in the book that she also had sexual relations with the twin brother. Like,
maybe she was doing the Cosmo sex bucket list, and it had on it, have
siblings?
Sex with 2 people in the same day.
Bonus
who are
points
related.
if they're related.
And she's just, like, a girly she's got to have her list checked off.
I thought it was going to come back and be, like, significant to the plot at any point. And no, just literally never mentioned again. So, Leave Me Behind. I mean, I definitely got horny while reading it, so there's there. I didn't get horny because of the blood scene in particular. There's just some, like, nice praise kink activities that I was, of course, into. But, you could read for that. And it was, like, I was able to do it in one night, so there's that. But anyways, great discussing with you, SJ.
Yeah, and as we get ready for the holidays, we're about to go off for our Thanksgivings. And then that's, of course, going to jump us into the holiday season, which what better way to celebrate than by reading the sub-genre of holiday smut. So, taking any recommendations on your favorite, it's a very broad range of
we'll take Satan romance to,
Santa.
I own a tree farm that's going out of business and a hunk just moved into town. We'll take anything.
I am currently, I'm starting my research early. I'm currently reading one called Lumber Snack, and he's got a tree farm in Maine.
Yeah, there's a lot of men own tree farms in the contemporary romance world.
I know, we might just do like half of the episode is just our rankings of tree-themed.
It's like, I don't even know. I get stressed out when I think about somebody owning a tree farm. I'm like, how does the business work with that? And it takes my mind out of it. But I'll still read them. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then maybe we'll give these aspiring lumberjacks some business plan suggestions along the way. It's just some business coaching. Spend less time fucking random women who stumble upon your tree farm and more
don't
time
give them all
taking
your
a
trade
class on
secrets.
how to do SEO.
Yeah, exactly, Mr. Lumberman. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Bye.